We're good.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to CPOC's Iconic Women panel discussion in honor of Women's History Month. My name is Talia Grimmage, and I am the Director of Outreach and Constituent Services. Now, if this is your first time joining us or tuning into one of our virtual discussions, let me just tell you a little bit about CPOC, the Citizens Police Oversight Commission. We are the civilian oversight agency for the police department. And so our mission is to improve the relationship between the police and the community. So we do this through policy review and recommendation, through auditing and monitoring of internal affairs investigations, and of course, through community outreach, education, and engagement. Now, we host 2 town halls every month. One is typically a commissioner-led meeting where we discuss commission business, and the other is a community town hall where we talk to residents about community and policing concerns and needs. And then there are times like this where we add a third gathering. We would not allow Women's History Month to go by without spending some time empowering and encouraging the women of this city. But before we go any further, I just want to take the time to acknowledge some of the staff and some of our commissioners that may be joining us. So I'm just going off of who I can see in the room. Okay. And so I'd like to acknowledge we have Damon Green joining us. He's a member of our staff. We have Jackie George here. We have one of our commissioners, Rosara Thomas, is here with us. And I see one of our panelists who we're going to go ahead and move over. Corporal Fabrizio is here. So we're going to move her over so she can be on screen with us. So one of the things that we really like to do at CPOC is to really build connections and partnerships with our community partners and our stakeholders, learn more about them, the great work that they're doing, and find ways that we can support the work that's already being done to serve the community. So tonight is a night for us to really highlight so many of the amazing women that are working and living in the city and not just talking about change, but are actively working towards making this city a place that we can all live in and thrive in. If you have been following us on our social media, on Facebook or Instagram, last week and this week, you have seen some bios, some beautiful headshots of our panelists this evening. And we've been giving you just a taste of some information about them. But I'm excited tonight to learn more about each of them. And I'm a big proponent of giving people their flowers while they can smell them. So tonight, ladies, is about all of you. We want to introduce you to the community and just hear more about the amazing things that you're doing. I'm going to turn it over to one of CPOC's shining stars, Jeriana, to take it from here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeriana Hernandez. I am part of the outreach team with CPOC. I would like to thank both the nominees and all of the attendees for joining us tonight. So like Talia said, for the month of March, we wanted to highlight women from all over the city who are doing amazing work. And we asked the community to nominate the women in their life. And today we have an amazing group with us tonight. CPOC wanted to provide a space for all the nominees to share a little bit about themselves, their work, and what they like to do outside of work as well. I am going to introduce all the nominees that we have tonight because not everyone could make it. So everyone that we have present tonight is Vanessa Edwards, Sakina Love, JC Rechak, Ray Epstein, Saja Blackwell, Rosa Vera Smith, Octavia Williams, Shay Rhodes, Corporal Megan Fabrizio, Zarina Lomax, Tyra Brown, Ashley Gilmore, Atia Goldsmith, and Dr. Dorothy Johnson. Vanessa is still connecting onto the Zoom, so I'm going to kick it off to Sakina Love to start us off.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. I know some of the faces here, some I don't know, so I'm excited to learn about everybody. I am Dr. Sakina Love, and I am the Executive Director and founder of Redeem for a Cause Outreach. We are a woman, minority, survivor-led organization that does anti-trafficking work in this city. We are about 6.5 years old. And what we do is go and engage with women who are actively engaging in street prostitution. We do everything from community outreach events such as feeding for Thanksgiving and Christmas. We do one of my faves called All Worthy of Love, where we give out roses and chocolate to the women for Valentine's Day. We've done community festivals, block parties, HIV and STD testing, and we also have a drop-in center in South Philadelphia where the women are able to come in and get any of the services that we provide, such as case management. We do therapy. We have meditation, yoga. They can come in, they can get a snack. They could come in and get some toiletry items, clothes. We just love on the women, and we have a safe space for them to come where it's judgment free, and they are able to heal and become whole. So that's a little bit about the organization. I totally forgot the other questions because I forget everything.
So just a little bit about like just your background, and then what do you like to do outside of work as well?
So outside of the work that I do for the organization, I'm also an adjunct professor at Rowan University. I teach Intro to Human Services. I've been there for 5 years. I also work, I just got hired full-time working as a psychotherapist and a bereavement doula. I'm also a full spectrum doula for a very known maternal health agency called Oshun Family Center. And right now I've been working with them as a therapist, but I've also transitioned recently to doing some of their policy work and helping them with research. With me getting my PhD, I am considered like an expert, and I have been loving the idea of taking what I know and helping other individuals. I also have recently launched a independent consultant business where I work with clients on research. I also do DEI trainings. You name it. I'm a mom of a 2-year-old. I also have a postpartum support group that I run, and I have a grief group that I run for women who have experienced loss as it relates to pregnancy and infancy. And what do I like to do outside of all of this work? I'm really big on self-care. My new thing recently is Sephora and Ulta. I'm there every Friday. I like skincare products. I love anything that is nourishing for the soul, is what I would say. I'm really big on being in tune with my body and taking care of myself. So meditation and yoga is a big thing for me as well. I hope I answered all the questions because, again, postpartum brain is very real, and I don't remember anything I just said before this. Thank you.
You did great. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Love. Next, I'm going to call on Ronessa Edwards. Ronessa, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe share what keeps you motivated in the work that you're in?
Thank you so much, Talia and Juliana, for inviting me here today. Congratulations to all the phenomenal women on this call. Happy Women's Month. My name is Ronessa Edwards. Pronouns are she and her. I am a mom, a wife. I am a first-generation American from Trinidadian parents. I grew up in Philly, went to girls' high school, went to University of Pittsburgh for college. I recently graduated with my master's in counseling from Eastern University. I currently work I've been a civil servant for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for 17 years, but I currently work at the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, where we investigate complaints of discrimination. I'm a supervisor of a team of investigators. This service is free. And so if you feel you've been discriminated against based on, protected classes to include race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, disability, you can file a complaint with our agency, and an investigation will be conducted free of charge with the hope of finding enough evidence to substantiate the discrimination and obtain a remedy for you if you maybe lost wages or was kicked out of a public accommodation like a store, or racially profiled at a store. Even we cover education and housing. So along with being an investigator, supervisor of investigators, I also facilitate trainings in implicit bias and microaggressions, DEIB, prevention of sexual harassment, LGBTQIA+ allyship and protections. And recently I've been developing some trainings on the intersection between trauma and discrimination. And that's really where my passion lies is the fact that as Black people, aside from the intersection between being Black and woman, right? But as Black people, we walk around with the burden of structural racism. And oftentimes we don't even know why we feel this way. And on top of that, the structural racism prevents us from accessing equitable mental health services. It also prevents us from having, gainful employment sometimes due to unequal wages or just lack of employment at all. And so, and just living in poverty, I think, is a result of structural racism and is traumatic in itself. And so, I feel like, as a mental health clinician just starting out, but I feel like, I want to be a part of the solution in providing quality, culturally competent mental health treatment, along with educating the public on race-based trauma, race-based stress, that it mirrors PTSD, but it's a little bit different because it's a continuous thing. So now it's continuous traumatic stress. And it shows in our interactions with everyone, from employers to our colleagues, to our family members, to even our medical providers, right? Because then structural racism has also influenced the type of medical we receive. And so, like, I think that, and I know that there is some work at the legislative level, but I ultimately just believe that systemic racism needs to be outlawed, and that we need to look at all of the structure, all of the systems that were put in place at the beginning of this country to include law enforcement, because it was all built against Black people. And so when a police officer gets away with murdering an unarmed person, they get off because it's in their law to be able to do that. And people are saying, oh, well, no, police, the police it's broken. The police system is broken. Crime, law enforcement is broken. No, it's not. It's working how it was supposed to. We have to dismantle that. We have to look at the implications of all of the structures that's put in place. I can go into housing and redlining. I can go into education, and we could talk about critical race theory and how they're banning books to separate us from our actual history and teaching people lies or omissions of truth in order to keep people a certain way. And so I don't want to get too on my Black Panther at this meeting, but that's what drives me. That's what motivates me. And I also think that our youth, unfortunately, is suffering not only from poverty, the systemic racism, without them maybe even being able to articulate it, but it's coming out in violence that's pervading our city, especially Philadelphia. And so a lot of my work is, I just was talking to some educators on examining your own implicit biases, so that when you're working with youth, you're not coming to them and re-traumatizing them because you have internal biases that you're not aware of based on the news media that we digest often. So my work is twofold, because I just said that I graduated with my master's in counseling. And so I'm just beginning the mental health piece, and I'm seeking to actually, I have an interview on Friday to work part-time as a counselor, so that I can get my clinical supervision hours, so that I can apply for my LPC. But it's not only just providing the direct clinical care, it's also addressing it from a systems advocacy standpoint. And so outside of that, I'm also a strong union member, SEIU Local 668, and we do a lot of community service, especially surrounding those who are living on the streets in Philadelphia. We have book bag drives, essentials drive, food drives, actually out there on at Love Park or the Aviator Park that's across from the Franklin Institute, just handing out whatever necessities they have articulated that they need, right? So we're not coming in there and saying, here, you need this. We ask them first, what would you like us to bring back? And they tell us, well, we need boots in the wintertime. We need blankets. We have somebody giving us food. We don't need that from y'all. We need these shirts, or we need, for the women, menstrual supplies, things like that. So I just try to address the need, and I think that's out there, and organize people to want to be in that space of advocating for those who are victims of systemic isms all around the board. I focus on racism because that's a huge one, but all around the board, we got misogyny, we've got gender discrimination, homophobia, we have all of transphobia, we have all of those things, disability, inequity. And so that's sort of where I'm at. It sometimes it seems like I'm not focused because it's so ingrained in so much. And so I'm just trying to find my lane with the mental health piece, because I think that the same way that the opioid epidemic, they found out, and they changed drug use from a criminal model to a treatment model. I think we should be putting our brains together to address race-based trauma first by acknowledging it, as opposed to Black people only knowing it and everyone else thinking that we just need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. But outlaw it at a systemic level, and then reparations in the form of equitable access to justice, to mental health resources, so on and so forth. And so thank you for listening. If you have any questions, let me know. But that's pretty much what gets me fired up.
Thank you, Vanessa, so much for sharing that with us. I mean, I'm over here just like snapping because I agree with everything that you're saying. So just real quick before we move on to the next panelist, I'm curious, I know that you are doing work in mental health, and I feel like maybe in this like the last 10 years or so, there seems to be a shift to where people are being more accepting and open to counseling, therapy, mental health treatment. So if there's somebody on tonight that is listening to you and some of our other panelists that may be considering talking to someone, what would you say are some of the benefits of just unpacking some of these things that each of us have and carry around with us?
Sometimes we know that there's something wrong and we can't put our finger on it. And so we just deal with it on a day-to-day, but it's nagging at us. And when you speak with a therapist, you can explore those things that you may have forgotten because your brain protects you from trauma you've experienced, or things that if you were to live with in the front of your brain, you would really be messed up. And it helps to explain why we have a propensity to react the way we do, or to shy away. Speaking with someone not only is cathartic, meaning it's healing in just being able to articulate how we feel, and having someone outside of your family members or friends validate your feelings and your experience. But then also that person is trained based on certain psychological models, psychoanalysis models, that can help you and implement treatment and interventions to address those things on a day-to-day basis. So we're really pushing to remove the stigma of mental health concerns, because this is something that is needed in our community. And I would say I have a therapist, and I encourage everyone to have a therapist.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Our next panelist is JC Rychek.
Hi there. I agree with the last statement that everybody should have a therapist. Hi, my name is JC Rychek. The H is silent, and it's okay. Nobody can ever say it. I work at Central Division Victim Services. I actually found myself in Philadelphia from going to Temple University. I graduated in 2020 with my bachelor degrees in criminal justice and political science, and again in 2021 with my master's in public policy. I ended up at my current role because I was actually an intern during my undergraduate time at Temple, and I found my way at Central Division Victim Services as a survivor of sexual assault myself during my time at Temple. I was very intrigued by the idea of helping other people that might not know of services or resources around Philadelphia. So just the way that my life kind of worked out happening, I ended up sticking on and being reached out to during COVID for a full-time position. And it's been incredibly rewarding since. My main role at Central Division Victim Services is victim advocacy, and that means a lot of things, and I could talk about it for a very long time. But what you need to know is that essentially any way in which a survivor might need somebody to advocate for them in the criminal justice system, or maybe talking to doctors or employers, anybody that might need to know what's going on because of their victimization, I can support them and talk on their behalf so that everybody's on the same page and we can get them towards the path of healing. And that looks like getting them into mental health care, other community programs and resources. And then I'm also there providing the emotional support and information as they're making their way through the court systems, which, as you can imagine, can be incredibly overwhelming. So I'm there kind of trying to make sure they understand what's happening at every point of the way, talking to their lawyers for them if they want that type of support, holding their hands if they want that type of support, but ultimately making sure that everything that they need and they're asking for is being met as I work alongside them. And then also at my agency, I do a couple of other things outside of victim advocacy. I help with our data upkeep and reporting. I'm on our grant writing team. And then I spend a lot of my time managing our internship program. So I actually go out into the community to schools and I talk about victim advocacy as a career, because as a former criminal justice student, I remembered being a student and it felt like the two pathways was either cop or lawyer, and people forget there's a lot of different things you could do in the criminal justice system. So it's very important for me to make sure that students know that when I'm out talking to them. And it's great connecting with them as well. And then once I'm in classrooms talking about those things, I also recruit them for our internship program. And in that realm, I'm responsible for interviewing, onboarding, bringing them on, all of that kind of stuff. I really enjoy working in this field, and I feel I stay motivated because it's important for me to uplift other voices and be somebody that I didn't have when I was going through my survivorship. So being able to advocate for people that might not know of different resources or not know how to connect with an attorney or a detective or whatever it might be, I think it's healing for me, and it's also very helpful. It feels really good at the end of the day knowing that I am changing lives, even if it's like one life like a month. I also stay motivated because I think it's very important to prioritize rest and therapy. It's also generally motivating to stay in this field because I think it is important for survivors to support other survivors. It's important because it's not like a random person kind of coming in and telling you that you should be healing a certain way. I think, of course, when you're operating through a trauma-informed lens as a professional, everybody knows that the healing process is different for everybody. But when you're talking to a survivor as a survivor, I feel like it's like an extra layer of care that is otherwise kind of uncomparable. And then I also finally feel it to be motivating because finding gaps in like resources or my clients understanding and helping fill those holes, I think is like very important and rewarding. I like being able to find solutions to like very big problems for people. And then outside of work, I like to read a lot. I tend to a lot of plants. And I've recently like tried different like group fitness classes like bar and yoga. So it's that in itself is like healing as well. So yeah, thank you for having me. And it's been really great listening to what other people do here.
Thank you for joining us, JC. You mentioned that you like to read. Do you have any book recommendations for the group?
I recently read Before the Coffee Gets Cold for my book club, and that was a pretty good book if you want something light and kind of silly but emotional.
Okay, Before the Coffee Gets Cold. All right. Thank you. So next we're going to talk to Ray Epstein-Schuman. Welcome, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what motivates you to do the work that you do.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I am a junior at Temple University. I'm double majoring in English and communication social influence. Social influence means activism. It is usually misperceived as meaning Instagram. So that's something I usually have to explain to people. And I'm the founding president of Student Activists Against Sexual Assault at Temple University. So in a similar vein to JC, I was motivated from my own experience, which I experienced when I was in 7th grade. And I ended up being forced to finish my school experience from home until high school by my administrators. And that was just a really painful experience. And I wanted to turn that into something productive when I was spending all of this time at home, lacking in education. So I started interning on Capitol Hill at a nonprofit for anti-teen dating violence called Break the Cycle. And it really just grew from there. I was able to familiarize with myself with other survivors and resources and realize that I truly wasn't alone when at 13 I felt just incredibly isolated and didn't know even what had happened really to the full extent of the law. And I volunteered there throughout high school. I maintained my internship, and unfortunately, they got shut down during COVID. But when I came to Temple's campus, I knew I wanted to join some student-led movement. And I realized we didn't have a student-led movement. And that was completely unacceptable because I was hearing stories within my first week of school from every girl at my hall. So I decided to get all my roommates together and all of my friends and begin my student organization. And within a year and a half, it's grown to 500 members, which has just been absolutely incredible. We connect survivors with resources. We do annual mandatory trainings with all of the fraternities during the rush process. If they don't attend, they're not allowed to rush and be confirmed into a fraternity now. They also, the entire fraternity as a whole suffers a large fine if people don't show up for that event, which has been really incredible to be able to implement. And in the past 2 semesters, we've been able to acquire $350,000 in free Uber rides for students in sexually unsafe situations. So if they're left alone at a party intoxicated, which happens far too often in college, people don't know the buddy system. People just don't respect boundaries always or make the best decisions as they're developing. So that was an amazing, amazing collaboration. And then I am also a intern at It's On Us, which is the national organization that SASA is a chapter of, where I'm their first LGBTQ plus caucus chair. And I've been in that position for about 2 years. There, I lead a team of researchers from around the country, and we create programming specifically for queer survivors because there is so little out there. And we're trying to address in our trainings specifically different parts of those communities so that it's not an overarching hour training of every single aspect of the community, because that's not all encompassing and that's not nearly enough time to cover every single different person who resonates with the queer community. So it's a long-term project, but it's something I'm really happy to be a part of. I'm also a legislative lead for the Every Voice Coalition PA, where I push survivor-based legislation and encourage people to vote, and encourage people to call their Congress members and their representatives. And I also worked at Take Back the Night until recently, just couldn't balance it all. But that was a great experience for me as well. And I stay motivated really because there's just survivors all around me who are always encouraging me and always reminding me that I'm not alone. And I came into this work with a victimhood mindset and wanting to almost avenge what had happened to me. And I realized that wasn't sustainable. And now I'm sustained by the power of the people around me and all of the beautiful women who are willing to tell their stories.
Right. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm curious. I know that your work is can be heavy sometimes. What do you do for self-care?
I have 2 chinchillas at my apartment, and they keep me completely sane. I just, whenever I feel down, I just look at them and they're so adorable, and I give them a hug and I feel okay. So for me, that's what works for me.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to move on to our next panelist, who is Saja Blackwell. I think you're still muted.
How about now?
Oh, now, perfect. How are you? Welcome.
Well, peace and greetings to all of the queens on this panel and this call and around the world who are tapped in. My name is Sajda Blackwell, Purple for some who know me personally. And I am currently a community actionist. I am a nonprofiteer. My working community is boots on the ground. We currently are part of the 30% decrease in gun violence here in West Philadelphia, as we currently pay young people $1,000 a month to make nonviolent music. A lot of people ask us, why? Why the music? Well, because the music in Philadelphia, our children are killing each other behind the music, rap beef, drill music. And we feel as though if we can provide an out-of-the-box solution to our young people killing each other, we can get them to start killing each other less, then we all will be safer as a community. I also am boots on the ground against food insecurity. Since the pandemic in 2020, there became a scarcity of food at the markets. We were all, very traumatized by the COVID epidemic, and we were able to tap into resources for our neighbors at the time. Just literally on our block, we found a resource for food through Share and through sharing access. And when we found that resource, we started to help out our seniors who couldn't get out, who were scared to come out. And we began to feed our community in a small way. And then in time, it grew to, from 20 people on the block to 60 people around the corner on the block. And to next thing we were block by block, we were feeding our communities. And we continue to do that as we do now. We have a much bigger food distribution, and we do that every other Saturday in West Philly on 52nd and Walnut, where we now have serviced about 300 families a month. We've actually just added another food location as well at 53rd and Sampson, and we partnered with White Rock Church. And again, we do that because there is still a food insecurity. The SNAP benefits were recently cut for everyone. People get a part-time job and they can no longer receive benefits. And so they're kind of back in the hole again. So we find a holistic solution to those things. We also partner with other people to try to make sure that, people beyond West Philadelphia are serviced as well. So that's a fight that we are very happy to do in community. I currently am fighting for financial literacy in our schools in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania. A lot of what we're dealing with is systematic poverty. That's also sparring the gun violence and violence, period, and as well as the food insecurity. But if we can teach our young people money, our young people will then have a better position in life. We'll teach our young people money. They'll go home and teach their parents money, and we teach our adults money. And then we're making financially literate young people. We're making financially literate adults who then can grow up and afford and buy affordable housing. So it all kind of ties in. And then when people and young people we're fighting teen poverty. That's why we're paying young people to make nonviolent music. And it's because to know that we do that because the positive music on purpose begins to spread, right? Because now they have to go into a studio. They got to make a song that's not killing anybody, not spinning a block on anybody or cursing. They have to come up with clean music. They're sharing that with their friends. They're sharing that with their family, and it becomes contagious. We have actually changed lives. People have come in and stopped doing drugs behind our program. They've stopped being the shooter because of our program, and they come and they speak about it. Just like tonight is our event. It's called How Dope Are You? Before we start our programs, we have a healing circle. Our healing circles grew from 6 children to 200 children and young people and families and grandmothers. So we're very happy to be, have that kind of social impact. I'm very proud to continue doing it. I have partnered with several other organizations in this. I see that you have Dr. Dorothy Spite on here as well. Mothers in Charge has also partnered with us. We are open to partnerships because we believe that alliances will strengthen us all in community. So we continue to do that. I'm the first Black woman to own an independent online radio station. I am celebrating 10 years here in the city of Philadelphia, and I have continued to be a platform and give the voice of those who feel voiceless a voice. And so my station is actually pqradio1.com, and we are still in existence, and again, still changing lives, in community. Lastly, we also have our own community town watch group. We have our own community meetings for solutions to gun violence and other community issues, because although gun violence is the main problem, a main trauma that we're facing, our people in the community are facing porch pirating. They have neighbors that they can't get along with. So we're interjecting mediation. We're making mediation popular. We're talking about conflict resolution. We're making conflict resolution popular. My push, I'm also running for state representative here in West Philadelphia. I'm fighting for real change. And I know that where I do it now on the community level, and I'm very impactful on the community level, but with the true resources behind being in state office would actually help me help my community tenfold. So that's why I'm running for office, because currently in the State House in the 10th District, my people do not have a voice, and we want to change that. So, these are the things that I do. I've been breaking news on every single, television station, and, and what I do, Channel 6, ABC. I also work with WHYY. So, we are impactful on purpose, and we are actionists. We're not activists. We have to get it done. Not now, but right now.
Wow. Wow. Thank you just for sharing all of that with us. You know, we have only heard from 5 panelists so far. We are clearly in the presence of greatness because everyone has just talked just so much about all the wonderful things they're doing. Ms. Blackwell, I love the work that you're doing with young people because I think that we all know young people are our future. I'm just curious to hear what you would say about this. What would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions that people have with some of the young people that you work with?
Yeah, I think the biggest the problem is that we're scared of our young people. That's the problem. We're scared to talk to them. We don't think that they want to hear what we got to say. You'll hear a lot of people say, older people say, oh, you can't talk to the young people. You can talk to the young people. You just have to actually talk to them. You have to go to them with respect. You have to go to them knowing that you can learn something from these young people. You can't go to them saying, I'm about to teach you everything.
Right.
No. I need to talk to you. I need to have an exchange of conversation. How can I help you? How can I help you heal? How can I partner with you? Teach me something. Because guess what? If you talk to a young person, a lot of these young people had the solutions to gun violence. They had the solution to conflict resolution. They're going to tell you where the beef is. They're going to tell you where the problems are. You know, we need to be able to talk to them and not talk at them. And that is something that I promote. And that's why young people gravitate to me, because they know that Ms. Purple, that Sasha Blackwell is going to listen and then help them find solutions.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think young people, they can spot who's fake and who's real a mile away. And if you come and you don't have the right intentions, you're not going to get anything from them.
And let me say this also in regards to the mental health. You know, I have a son who is mentally disabled. He has schizophrenia. But one thing that I'm fighting for in my platform is that these are children, are adults who are mentally disabled, have mental traumas. This generally will develop in their teenage years. You know, but we do not have any school-based programs anymore to identify these problems. A lot of onsets happen as teenagers, like schizophrenia. It happens onset 16, 17, 18, but you're not knowing because there's no one interacting with them to help them in the schools anymore. There's no counseling. There's no one for them to talk to. So I am proposing that we put back school-based mental health programs. That is where we're going to find out where our children are starting to go left. You know, where things are happening differently, where developmental things are happening differently. So I encourage everyone to, you know, be their own advocate, to get counseling and therapy and school-based mental health programs. Yes, Queen, in the schools, because that's where it starts. And guess what? We need to get help for these parents. We can't blame the parents for everything. We don't got no help. If I have to work 3 jobs to put the roof over our head, then I need help at home. I might not be able to it could be in my kids' room, turning off the games, you know, that are killing each other. I might not be able to do that because I am trying to provide for my family. Where are the help for our parents? We cannot blame them without providing solutions for our parents. And then the other young lady come up, she reads a good book. This is a really great book for all of you because all of you are actionists, and it's called Microactivism. It says, how can I make a difference in the world without a bullhorn? I'm an activist with a bullhorn, but you can also do it if you don't have a bullhorn. So I recommend this read for the queen over there who said that she's an avid reader as well.
Yes. Thank you for that. Okay, so we have 2 book recommendations so far. Let's see how many we get by the end of the night, because I know that we have some other readers on the line with us. Next, Rosa Vera Smith, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and some of the work that you do.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you for having me and congratulations to everyone. I hope you can hear me well. And I volunteer for Christian Legal Services of Philadelphia, and I also work for Paulac Laws. And they got a new name, so it was kind of confusing because he just renamed his law firm to it is Fighting for People Injury Law Firm and Paulac Law. And basically, I volunteer for the services over at Hunting Park, and they have satellite offices in West Philadelphia, South Philadelphia, and also in Germantown. So I'm basically in the Hunting Park office, and I'm the coordinator there. So I run the clinics there, and I'm also a language interpreter. So we do everything from POAs, which are power of attorneys, and also wills. And we help out in the community there with a lot to do with the Spanish speaking community, and also anyone who needs to come in and just have a consult with our attorneys. All of our services are free of charge, and we help anyone who needs to come in from expungement of records and family law with the custody, and if you need a protection of order of abuse and everything like that. What keeps me going in this line of work is just basically the experiences I've had in my own life with everything that I've been through. I love law, I love justice, and this is just my nut. This is what I love to do. So I combined everything that I've been through and my experiences, and I'm a recent graduate of Stroudsburg University with the whole law. So I'm proud of what I've done and how far I've come. Goodness, I'm about to cry because I've been through it. I've come through so much adversity and so much that I love it. When I see a woman come into our office or just sit there with us and she is just in tears because she's been through so much, I can relate to her. I can empathize with her. And by the time she's about to get up and leave and she knows that everything is going to be okay, it just warms my heart, and I know that we were able to help. And that's what keeps me going. What I do outside of my job and what I do outside of my volunteer work is I just have a blast with my 7-year-old and with my kids. I have 2 adult kids, one of which lives here in Philadelphia, which is actually with my daughter right now. And I just spend a lot of time with them, and they keep me going. So that's me.
Thank you so much, Rosa, for just sharing a little bit about you and your work with us.
Yes.
And congratulations on your recent graduation.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so next we're going to talk to Miss Octavia. How are you? How are you? Please tell us a little bit about yourself and what motivates you to do this work.
How are you? Thank you, Ms. Grimmage, and thank you, Ms. Hernandez, for organizing this panel. To all the women on here, congratulations. Your work has not gone unnoticed. Obviously, that's why we're here today, so congratulations. My name is Octavia Williams. I'm an assistant district attorney at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. I'm in the municipal court unit. And so when a crime is committed and the police go out and investigate, they find a suspect and charge that suspect with the crime. And that crime comes to my desk, the complaint comes to my desk, and I read it. And my job is to ensure that the victim of that crime seeks justice, gets justice, and make sure that the defendant is getting a fair punishment. So I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh School of Law last year. I graduated from Cheney University, the first HBCU. I always have to say that, in 2014. So outside of being a district attorney, I do a lot of grassroots work. I love nonprofit work. I love doing research. I love finding ways to help people, whether it's through the criminal justice system, whether it's through education, whether it's through mental health. When COVID happened, I became very self-aware of mental health. And it's so important. It's vital to our everyday livelihood. And for me, I love going to the spa. I love getting my nails done. I love getting my hair done and feeling pretty and just, building that confidence. And that's pretty much what I do for fun. What motivates me, I had to think what motivates me. And when I connected all the dots, it brought me back to one word: love. I love humanity. I love people. I love being a voice for people who feel like they don't have a voice. That's like so big for me, because I think Dr. Love, as she said, we go through racial traumas, and I've been through it from personal experience, and if I can do something to help people that's coming behind me, I will do so. So I mentor young women who want to go to law school and become lawyers. And I just do whatever I can do to help my community. Pennsylvania criminal justice system is terrible. We have like the highest number of children serving life than over 20 countries combined. It's bad. So I'm really moving towards the policy side of things and legislation. So on the NAACP, I'm working to create legislation to help reform the system. And so, yeah, that's kind of what motivates me.
Thank you, Ms. Williams, for sharing that with us. So if you were, because you said that, you know, the word love comes to mind when you think about what motivates you, and just inspiring people. If you were someone on tonight that is just maybe feeling a little bit down and maybe just is feeling like they can't trust the criminal justice system, things are moving too slowly, or it's not going the way they thought it should go, what would you say as a person working in that system to just tell them maybe to hold on just a little bit longer? What would you say to them?
I will tell them that we are doing everything that we can to progress the system and to work together. No one person can do anything. So we understand that, you know, first of all, Philly is the 5th largest city in the country, and crimes are committed every day. And so it's a lot of work. But I would tell them to just hold tight, to pray, to meditate, to go on YouTube and, you know, find some videos that can just help relax them, and just know that they're not alone. Other people are going through the same thing or something in a similar manner. And sometimes people are going through things that are even worse.
Yeah.
So, you know, just pray and just keep your head up, because that's all we really can do.
Yeah. I think sometimes, you know, just knowing you're not the only one, you're not by yourself, can be so helpful to people when you just have that commonality that, you know, it's not just me, you know, somebody else is experiencing this, can give you a little bit of hope. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, Ms. Williams. I'm now going to go to Shay Rhodes. Hi there, how are you? You have a lot of books back there, so maybe you also give us a book recommendation. How are you this evening?
I do have a lot of books back there. And thank you so much for including me with this amazing group of women. Shout out to all of you. And I can't believe we're at the end of Women's History Month already. And my book recommendation, I just finished this weekend, is The Women. It's the #1 on the bestseller list right now. And of course, it's fitting for Women's History Month, The Women. It's set in the Vietnam era. It's really phenomenal. It's impactful. The protagonist is great. So Octavia, I really resonate with you because I started as a DA a very long time ago, and as a lawyer wanting to make change and do policy. So kudos to you for grinding that grind that you do every day. I know it so well. It is because of my time as a prosecutor that I realized that the criminal justice system is really designed to do exactly what it's doing, and it needs a lot of reform. And the niche I took to really look to reforming is the way that the system impacts women and girls, primarily women and girls who are experiencing sexual exploitation, sex trafficking, and systems of prostitution. So when I left the DA's office about 11 years ago, I created the Institute to address commercial sexual exploitation. I am based out of Villanova's law school, which is where I went to law school. We are statewide, but the meat and potatoes of the direct legal services that we do is in Philadelphia, where I live and is my chosen home. And I know that I will never, ever leave Philadelphia because I married a boy who's born and raised there, and he won't ever leave the city. So we are really in it for the long haul. I say, you know, that the justice system is designed to kind of do what it does. And back in the early 2000s, at the end of the 90s, when I became a lawyer, and ultimately became a prosecutor, the way that the sex trade was being policed was by arresting, charging, and convicting primarily women for prostitution. And as I ended my career at the DA's office, I was infuriated because I thought way back when I went to law school in the 90s that the laws were supposed to be designed to protect those who were marginalized, who were harmed. And I became, really disabused of that notion when I was reading the Crimes Code. It's your bread and butter when you're a prosecutor, and realized that the very laws that we have asked our legislature to pass were really hurting predominantly our women and our girls and our feminized bodies, and caught up in systems of exploitation and prostitution. So I quit because I have a skill set, and I want to make the world better for that population. And I want to repeal laws and design laws and change them. And we've been doing that for the last 10 years, making strides incrementally, day by day and session by session in the legislature. And the work that we do is impactful and keeps me motivated, just merely one client at a time. You can look at these problems from a really macro level and think that they're insurmountable. And then you remember, I am a lawyer and I can solve one person's legal problem at a time. And we work really hard to do that in the area of post-conviction relief for survivors of sex trafficking. So I am, now on the other side of things, and we do a lot of work with victim services in Philadelphia and with the Defender Association. And we've been incredibly successful with, erasing and vacating the criminal histories of people who've been criminalized for their very victimization. We worked really hard to ensure that no child in Pennsylvania, and it was predominantly our girls in Philadelphia and our brown and Black girls in Philadelphia who were being accused of the crime of prostitution, a child can never, ever be accused because they are not criminals. And so we got that removed from the Juvenile Act, and it was, incredibly impactful. Those children are now viewed in the eyes of the law and society as victims of systemic sexual abuse. So we've done a lot. There's a lot more to do. And one of the things that keeps me motivated and why I like working with law students is because the future is our young ones. And every day when I see that, they are preparing for classes and they're interning and they're working on a project, that those of us getting older in our days can ultimately retire at some point, knowing that we are equipping this new generation with the skills that they need and the compassion to be trauma informed in their provision of legal services and to impact our community in a way that is really systemic, from the policy level to on the ground doing in-court work to looking at it all globally. And they keep me motivated and I learn from them. They're, this generation of law students is they're a cool group of kids. They're not kids, they're young adults, but in my mind, they're kids. So that keeps me motivated. And what do I like to do when I'm not working? I like to travel. I like to get on an airplane and go and travel and see the world. And I guess that's why I work, so I can travel. It's pretty great. Again, thank you for having me and for including me with this really phenomenal group of women.
Can you share, Shay, maybe a recent place that you visited and something that we can put on our list somewhere that we can visit?
So don't be mad at me, everybody. Please
Okay.
don't be mad. You can't be mad. But at the beginning of this month, we went to Turks and Caicos for 4 days.
Okay.
That water is so blue and so healing. And I'm telling you, if you have a chance and the opportunity to go anywhere in the Caribbean, Turks and Caicos, hands down. It's unbelievable.
Nice. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much for that. So I'm just gonna ask Zarina Lomax to come on for a second. I know she has to hop on. So
Yes, thank you. I didn't want to not honor you guys because I appreciate you guys taking the time. So first, just thank you for honoring me, Talia and Ms. Hernandez. I don't want to say is it Jeriana?
yes.
Yes. I was wanted to say thank you, and thank you to these amazing group of women, some of them who are my sisters. In my dusty Miss Dorothy, Octavia, Renessa, let me go on down, Atia, Saj, I see Sakina, see you somewhere, Tyra, but I see a lot of these women all the time, whether we talk all the time or whether we just see each other in passing. And I also see my sisters, Danny and Ira on. It might be some other people that I didn't see, but I just want to honor everybody for the work that they do and being here in spirit with me. I'm just going to say who I am very quickly. I talk very fast. My name is Zarina Lomax. I'm the CEO and founder of the Applause organization. We use fashion, music, and art to honor slain victims and survivors of gun violence and trauma. Actually started because of Dominique Oglesby, who was murdered March 18, 2018. Her mother is on the line, so that's who Danielle Oglesby is. Dom was killed 6 years ago, last week. So, and today actually is the day that she was buried 6 years ago. So it's very personal to me. Outside of losing someone to gun violence, I am also a rape survivor. I was raped at a very young age by my uncle, and I also have a father in prison for murder. So everything I do is very personal. I've unfortunately lived and suffered through it to be able to help other people. Before starting my organization, I was big in the arts. I did TV and radio only. I was bringing people on to share their stories of overcoming different forms of trauma. Dom passed away in my 4th season. I started bringing families on, and then we switched over to doing the art because if a person does not have the strength to tell their story, that's what the art is for. So a lot of times we see a lot of the faces, but this is to, I'm sorry, a lot of times we see a lot of the numbers, but this is to put a face to the numbers because these people had personalities, they had lives, and they had loved ones, and they had destinies, and that was cut short. So I think that's why it's so impactful because it makes it very much a reality of what you ladies and all of you young ladies that are working with the DA's office, these names that you're getting, I'm working with the faces of them and their families. We started that 6 years ago just as a give back. Started with 15 families. Next we scaled up to 70. It took a break during COVID, and now we are in 5 cities. I literally just came back from Florida last night, so I'm exhausted. We drove the art down and drove it back. So we host in 5 other cities. We're in Miami, Chicago, Philadelphia. We're also in New York, mostly Queens, about to be in DC and Atlanta. But we use the art as a way to create a safe space to host panels like this, allow them to share their stories and then get connected to mental health resources, as well as each other. If that's the biggest thing, getting connected to someone that understands. And we're in the process of opening up a therapy center and expanding those therapy centers to other cities. So I guess I heard somebody talk about what they do for fun. I think I forgot what that was, which is something that us that do the work tend to forget. We tend to forget to live, but I'll be 40 in less than 2 months. So I'm going to absolutely do something. I don't care if it's for a day. I'm absolutely going to love on myself and be grateful that I made it because I buried a lot of people. My youngest victim is 10 months. So I'm grateful to see 40 and God has given me that. It was another question. I think you guys asked why people do what they do. Of course, I said Don, but my biggest thing is God. If you don't love God, then you can't love his people because people get on your nerves. But you love God, you move past it and you just do the work. This work is hard. Vanessa, you know what I'm saying? This work is hard. We don't get a lot of funding. I am primarily donation based. I think a lot of people just see me sprinkle a lot of glitter and think that I get a lot of funding, but I've just always been crafty with putting stuff together. But in turn, we are growing to that space because people are knowing the work. We've been on TV a lot. We've been in magazines nationally known. Some stuff at the White House. It's a lot of stuff coming. So that's basically who I am and what I do. In regards to that therapy center, that will basically be an art center, bigger like a museum. But right now we're going to start with a host of therapists that are going to come together and we're going to collectively offer them group therapy sessions as well as one-on-one. Unfortunately, as you guys know, it's a lot of wait lists. So I've decided to just kind of, unfortunately, like I have to do, like we all do, just do the work and bring them to them. Because they don't know where to go or they won't go or it's too much of a list. So we're going to partner with some therapists. So if you guys are open today, I know a lot of you guys do the work, let me know because we'll be doing that and then just utilizing the arts as well. So I'm talking really quickly, but that's who I am and what I do. So thank you guys so much again. And congratulations to every last one of you ladies now and before that's on as hosts because I know you all are out there in the struggle with me.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for joining us tonight and your ongoing dedication. Like, we appreciate it. And I hope you get home, get some rest, because you need it and you deserve it.
No, I'm going in here. I'm at an event, y'all. Thank you. I don't know what Rex is. But thank y'all so much. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. And congratulations again. I really am really excited for every last one of y'all. It makes me smile. All these black and brown faces. And even for those that's not that work with us, thank y'all so much. And for those that paved the way, I see Miss Dorothy again. I didn't even know you was on here, but thank y'all so much. And I'm praying for you, Purple. I know you running, sis. So God, you got our fist up. But thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Zarina.
Good night, y'all.
Have a good night. All right, so we're gonna be moving on to Corporal Megan Fabrizio.
Hello, everybody. My name's Megan. I'm a corporal in the Philadelphia Police Department, but on top of that, I also do a civilian police academy, which brings in civilians from all over the city to our police facility for a 9-week program. And we go over different things on how the process of being a police officer, the things that we do, a little bit of the training. We do a lot of hands-on to try to bridge the gap between the community and the police officers so that we can understand each other and we each know what each other's job should be. And I keep hearing tonight, and I want to congratulate everybody out there. I am like overwhelmed. As you can see, I'm writing notes as we go. I'm also an instructor at the police academy. So I teach recruits from the day that they start to the day they graduate to hopefully get them acclimated to being good police officers, good community activists, good people on the streets, no matter where they go. And one of my biggest things is I always say, like, they always want to stay in the areas where they were raised at, where they know. And I'm always like, go out, explore, learn the city of Philadelphia, because it could be so beautiful. You know, there's so many different things out there. I try to teach them how to understand everybody that they engage in. Just listen to what somebody's story is. And I've heard that a couple times tonight. Just learning from the children, from the adults, from the elderly, whatever it is, let them open up and tell you their story and learn their different cultures and neighborhood rules and regulations and stuff like that, and become part of the community. Even though I have to only work there for 8 hours a day, it should be a family, because in the long run, every time we engage in somebody, good, bad, and ugly, guess what? It's somebody else's loved one. And, you know, I wouldn't want somebody to come to me and say, hey, listen, I just had a run-in with the police officers and they were extremely rude to me, or they were, you know, they didn't care what I have to say and what I think about, because I wouldn't want my family members to feel that way. So when I go out there, I try to understand that whoever I engage in, they may or may not have a family member that's in law enforcement, but guess what? That doesn't have to do with anything. They still have a family. They still have, you know, if they're the victim, they're the victim. Even if they just call 911 in reference to a neighborhood dispute, guess what? It's probably the first time that they've ever called 911. I may have done that 1,000 times over my career, but guess what? It's their issue that they need resolved, and that's what my service is, to come, learn, and try to resolve that issue. Back to my biggest like love right now is just love in general. I love being a police officer. I'm a third generation. My grandfather was a police officer. My mom was a police officer. My father-in-law is a police officer. So like, it's just all, it's in, I guess you would say it's in my blood, but I was always raised to always just identify with people, understand people. And if you don't know the solution, try to find somebody else that does know the solution and bring them in and say, hey, can you help me out here? But my police, the Civilian Police Academy is like one of my biggest achievements right now. I took over that program 8 years ago when I started the police academy, and you know, we've gotten bigger, and I've been bringing in people from outside. I actually have CPOC as one of the speakers on almost our last night. So I started out as like a history in policing, and our last night on the 9th week, we talk about ABLE program, which is that law enforcement where now it's our responsibility. If I see somebody do something wrong in my career, it's my responsibility to stop somebody, no matter what the rank is, no matter what the structure is, and try to make it the right way. And then we have CPOC come in and they explain their situation, you know, with what they do, how they accommodate us. They give us awards, but they also sit on our boards when we do something wrong. And when we do we call going to the front. When we do get in, you know, when we may be getting in trouble for something, and they are sitting there as a civilian and as one part of the police department too, to understand both aspects of the situation. And again, it just brings it all back to one thing, is that we're all humans. We all make mistakes. We all do things right. And we need to empower each other, no matter what it is, no matter who we are. And that's all it is, just like bringing somebody up instead of just always kicking somebody down. Just find one positive thing. And I tell people, even my children now, find one positive thing in life. And guess what? It's always going to be happy. You can have the worst day in the world, but if you think of one thing that was really, really good about that day, it could be anything. You had a good peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Guess what? It was a better day. It makes you smile, and smiling at people. That's huge. I always tell people, look people in the face, smile, because guess what? Even the most grumpy old man, if you smile at him, there's only one thing he can do. He's going to roll his eyes or he's going to smile back at you. But I bet you he's probably going to smile back at you. Real quick, I know I'm getting over my 5 minutes. So I love serving my community. I love bridging the gap. I love to try to help as much as I can. I'm also a very big advocate too with survivors of dating violence. And I'm part of the Morgan's Light Foundation, which was generated back in 2000 when Morgan McCafferty was killed by her then ex-boyfriend. They were both 18 years old, who was a very good friend of my daughter and my sons. And I've just always, you know, try to help out stuff. Again, I'm a big domestic violence and victim survivor, not even a victim, because you should never be a victim. You're a survivor. And, you know, always being there to say, you know what, there is somebody that's going to hear you. There is another way to do this. And if we can push through, we can get the help that we need. I know how domestic violence is right now on the streets and stuff. Again, a lot of times people will call the cops after having a protection from abuse order. And they're like, I'm not getting the results. I try to walk them through that. I try to teach the recruits also, there's other ways to do this. And if we just push a little bit further, have them write down notes, have them do this and try to follow through. Again, I'm a wife of 20 years. I have 3 grown children who still all live at home, but I was just cooking dinner prior to us getting on here. And I'm just ending it with, I do like to read. I don't have any crazy books or anything like that. I just grab whatever is out there and I'll just read it. I wrote down a lot of books, so I have all my summer programs going on there. And talking about empowerment of women during the pandemic, it shut everybody down. It shut us all out. So I'm like, I want to feel beautiful. I want to feel loved, no matter what it is, if I wake up out of bed. But so I got myself into Mary Kay. So now I can empower other women doing facials and doing just meeting people. And it started with Zoom, which was great because then we were able to do them. And I felt like I was in somebody's living room, just like I feel like I am right now. And we could do facials and we could do makeup and we could just talk and pretend like we're drinking our like tea, coffee, whatever it is, beverages, and just making everybody always feel pretty about themselves. Make me feel, and they always say like, make me feel important. I love to feel important every single day, even if it's just, hi, how you doing? Just makes me feel like, you know what, I'm part of something. And so I first off want to say, I am so excited about this nomination, but sitting with all you women here, I am learning so much. And I hope if I can help you and you can help me, maybe this is the bridge and the gap that we all need as women, because guess what? Women get things done. We can change the world in a moment. And it's just working together no matter what and saying, okay, you know what, this is what we need to do. So thank you very much. Congratulations to all you beautiful women out there. Purple, Miss Purple, I'm in the far Northeast, but listen, when I go to vote and I can come down there, I'm voting for you. So congratulations. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all of the amazing insight that you give to the new recruits that are coming in. We really appreciate that. And thank you again for your service. So we have next Tyra Brown.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyra Brown. I am the founder and president of GLOW, which means Growing Leading Optimistic Woman, We are a women empowerment organization based in the West Philadelphia area. However, we are trying to expand throughout the city. I started my nonprofit through my life story. Looking in the mirror, it was always generational trauma within my family. And I chose to break that barrier break the barrier of generational trauma by starting a program called the Wellness Academy that aligns with knowledge resource-based workshops such as family, and I'm sorry, I have my notes because I just did a pitch yesterday on my nonprofit, so just like bear with me. But that focus on financial literacy, health and wellness, healthy relationships, self-care, self-love, career building, and also building a sisterhood through jump rope and trauma. Every Sunday, we are at the Blackwell Community Center on 47th and Brown, between like Brown and Aspen is the new community center. We go there every Sunday from 12 to 4. We have an in-house yoga instructor that does yoga with us for an hour. And then from there, we are doing Double Dutch. It's open to the community. Anyone can come. I started GLOW because it's a lot of women that's in the community that's scared to share their stories of their life. And I was one. I was in a dark space in my life for a very, very long time. And I was always scared to share my story because I was always thinking about the judgment and the backslash that I would get from, you know, my peers and things like that. But it was time to like really open up and tell my story, because not only am I going through it, but my story can help someone else that's going through it. Whether they are a single mom, they are lacking in finances, they don't know where to get resources from, whether they are like just needing someone to talk to because they're going through something. In GLOW, we do have a trauma-informed therapist. So she's also at all of our sessions just in case someone needs to, you know, they're having a moment and they need to talk. Outside of that, I am a mother of 3 lovely young men. My oldest is about to graduate high school this year, so I'm excited about that. I don't look like what I've been through, but I've been through like a whole life. I am the typical West Philly young girl. Well, I'm not young, I'm in between that just been through a lot, but I don't carry it on my back. I always show up with a smile. I am also the family enrichment coordinator over at the Philadelphia Housing Authority, where I build the programs for our youth within the community. I always like to say to be a part of any of my workshops or any resources within the Housing Authority. You do not have to be a PHA resident. My programs are open for anyone. So it's like I wanted my youth program for myself, but it's like, no, I can't do both. So why not do it through my job, which I love dearly. We do college tours. We have different type of grants. We do financial literacy programs. We have empowerment circles for our youth. So it is an open space for our youth to just come in, whether it's at our headquarters or at the location I just mentioned, the Blackwell Community Center. We are open for all our youth to come because there is a lot of resources and there's a lot of partners that come out to facilitate workshops that I put together. Outside of that, what do I love to do when I am, is breathe. I know we breathe every day, but do we really sit down and just take those deep breaths? I love to travel. I am a journaler. I love to journal. June of 2024, I will have my own journal published. And I think that's it.
You did it. You got through all the questions. And I love that. I love that you said like breathing, just being mindful and just taking that time to just calm down and just breathe and take it all in. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I did see that Dr. Dorothy Johnson has to step off. If you would like to say a few words.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, thank you for the honor from the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, and congratulations to all these amazing women. I've learned so much, and I thought I knew a lot what's going on in Philly, but I've learned a lot tonight. So thank you all. Congratulations for your work. I'm Dr. Dorothy Johnson Spite. I'm the founder and national executive director of an organization called Mothers in Charge. And Mothers in Charge is a group of mothers, grandmothers, aunts, sisters, women who have had the tragedy of having to bury a son or daughter or loved one because of violence. I got prepared, I guess. Most people know me for Mothers in Charge. Recently, our Mayor Sherelle Parker called me the grandmother of violence prevention. She said I was doing violence prevention long before anyone else thought about it, because even this year we celebrate 21 years with Mothers in Charge. But prior to that, I lost a daughter. Her name was Carlina Jamila Spite, and she died of bacterial meningitis in the ER at Einstein. And I got connected to an organization called Compassionate Friends, which was an international organization in order to help with my grieving process. And I had to travel to Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, for the grief group, for the group that they were meeting twice a month. After a few years, 2 or 3 years, I knew that Philadelphia needed that, not to have to travel so far. So I started the first African-American chapter of Compassionate Friends at Temple University Mitten Hall. And I did that for almost, I guess, 14, 15 years, which was almost the exact time when my son was murdered. Kalik was 24 years old. He was a graduate of University of Maryland Eastern Shore. He worked at Pickett Middle School as a TSS worker and working with young children who had mental health diagnoses. And at the time I was working at Comar, and our goal was we were going to go back to school. I was going to get my doctoral degree. He was going to get his master's degree at Lincoln, and we were going to hang our shingle and work with children with mental health diagnosis. Unfortunately, in December, a very cold night, a very angry person shot him 7 times over a parking space. So again, that was my second child, biological child that I lost, and didn't think I was going to really survive his death on just getting over Carlina's death. But at some point, I had a vision, and this vision was I saw these mothers in a boxing ring with bullhorns, pleading with the sons to put down their guns. And it was truly a vision for me to start Mothers in Charge. And I went to someone who was close in our neighborhood, in our community, who had lost a son, Sultan Ahmed, may he rest in peace. He named us Mothers in Charge and helped me to get started with the organization Mothers in Charge in May of 2003. So as I stated, this year, we'll be celebrating 21 years of being on the ground, helping members of the community in Philadelphia, but also we have chapters of Mothers in Charge in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Kansas City, mothers who've lost children that are doing this work as well. Some of the programs we offer, of course, is individual and group counseling for families who individual and group that have lost loved ones to violence. But we also do mentoring. You might have seen us on the news a couple nights ago. We counsel girls, mentor girls from Carson Valley. And we had a makeover for them and then a big dinner for them at Amina's a couple nights ago. So we do mentoring. We have an anger management class that meets every Thursday, twice on Thursdays. We get referrals from the judges and adult parole and probation and anybody who's angry. We have an amazing facilitator for 9 weeks. You get a certificate where he teaches anger management, gives people skills to deal with the anger that they often, are feeling and not knowing how to handle. And unfortunately, in our community, with the availability of guns, this is oftentimes what we see in our community. So Steve Austin teaches anger management, and I oftentimes stand in the back of the room and listen to some of the stories. And I remember one day not too long ago, a young man stood up and he had been coming to anger management for about 5 or 6 of the sessions. And he stood up and said, I know if I was not getting the anger management support here at Mothers in Charge, what I would have done last night with my baby's mama's boyfriend. So these are the kind of things that people get angry about, not knowing how to manage that anger and having, the availability of guns everywhere in our community. This is what we're seeing every day. And we get a homicide list every week of all of the families who have lost loved ones to violence. And our goal with our program is to reach out to those individuals and connect with them. If they can come to us at our office at 990 Spring Garden or 2839 West Drive, fine. If not, we have the ability to go to them and meet them wherever they are and provide that support. I have a program that most people don't know about called Participatory Defense. And that's a program, it's a national program And it helps individuals that have open cases, help them to understand the court system and helps them prepare for courts and different things that they may be coming up for them in the criminal justice system. And that's an amazing program. We call it best outcomes, because a lot of times our people get railroaded or have to make deals and don't really understand what they're doing and what they're finding themselves involved in because of the lack of understanding. So participatory defense actually teaches the community and people who are involved in criminal justice systems how to navigate, so that's something that's kind of different for us, but we realize that the main two things that are impacting our community is mass incarceration and homicides. And we're working on both of those, frontiers because we understand it's impacting our community. And if we don't do it, no one else will. So we have a very extensive program. We work a lot with reentry. We have a women's program. We go into the prison and work with women in the prison. And then we have a program called Women Working for a Change. When they come home, we help them with getting jobs and self-esteem and all the kind of things that they may need to improve upon themselves in order to be able to stay home oftentimes with their children. We started that program because years ago, a mother was incarcerated at Riverside on State Road, and her son was, I guess, pretty much home alone because she was incarcerated. She was a single parent. And he rode up on a guy, stopped at a stop sign and snatched a gold chain off of this guy's neck. And the guy rode off on his bike. And the guy drove his car, drove the little boy down. He was 17, drove him down on his bike, got out of his car and shot him to death. And she wrote to us and said, please, can Mothers in Charge help me? I'm incarcerated. I need help. My son was murdered. And that was how we got started in Riverside Correctional Facility, working with women who are incarcerated, and just felt like a lot of them needed so much more. So we started going in 2 nights a week, doing something called Thinking for a Change. And that was in the prison. We did that for many years. And now we're even helping them when they come home, to help them to stay home with their children and their families so that they don't lose them to foster care or to death or some of the things that happen to young people when their parents are incarcerated. So many things we do is we have something called Prevention, Intervention, and Education. We call it PIE. So we do a lot of programs. Right now we're doing something in the, I still call it Youth Studies Center, but it's the Juvenile Justice Center. We work with the young men and, well, young men mainly, with the women there too, doing art and therapy and trauma therapy. And it's an amazing program. We got funded through the city to do this program. And we're now in our second year of doing that program with the juveniles that are there. Oftentimes, so many of them are there, have lost loved ones as well, has lost brothers or fathers to violence. So we do even counseling sometimes for them that are grieving and having a real rough time while even being incarcerated. One of the fun things I like to do is music. I believe music is healing. It helps to heal the spirit and the soul oftentimes. And if anyone gets a chance, please go see the musical MJ at the Neil Simon Theater in New York. I took my grandson last week to see Michael Jackson. It was an amazing Broadway play, and he and I enjoyed it so much. So music can oftentimes be what helps to heal. And so I find music is a comfort to me oftentimes, along with breathing. Someone mentioned breathing, and that's important as well. So I thank you again for the honor tonight and to be a part of the group of amazing women here. It's funny that the work that I do has been recognized, and I've had a long relationship with the governor. And when he was running for governor and had got elected as governor, Josh Shapiro, I was on his transition team of public safety. And one of the things that was our task was to find ways to improve the relationships between police, law enforcement, and the community. And that was my work on his transition team for the 6 weeks. And so it's interesting that, this is kind of what you all do. So please keep me in mind for anything that you're doing down the road. I even have the report I did after, having to submit that report to him on my thoughts and things that I think should, happen between police and community. It's very important. We need them, they need us too. So we've got to find ways to work together to keep our communities safe. So thank you for the honor again. God bless you all.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will definitely stay in touch. We recognize the importance of collaborating. There's so many agencies in the city doing great work, but once we come together, we will be a stronger force, especially since funding can be very scarce. So if we can collaborate, we can, bridge those gaps and truly make a bigger impact. So thank you so much for all the programs that you're running. You're doing amazing work. And again, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for the honor.
Next up, we have Ashley Gilmore.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm Ashley Gilmore. I'm really honored to be amongst all these amazing women. I know it's been said, it'll be said again, but it deserves to be said again. You guys are doing amazing work. So thank you so much for putting this together. I am really, really passionate about violence prevention and poverty prevention by keeping people housed and fed and employed. So I've done different variations of that work my whole life. In college, I put on over 120 community service events on campus through my organization, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. After that, I joined City Council at the office of the City Council President, and I've been there ever since. I found great mentors, and I really found my home in policy work. I drafted the legislation that created the Chief Public Safety Director position, which is a collaborative position in the mayor's cabinet to make city agencies working together have a more efficient time when they're collaborating to work on public safety situations. And I currently work as the Deputy Director of the Neighborhood Preservation Initiative, which has been super rewarding. We do a lot in low-income communities to keep people in their homes. So we are building 1,000 new affordable housing units. We are fixing, excuse my cat. We provide free repairs to any emergency or major systems in the home if you're income qualified, free modifications for people that have permanent disabilities for their home so they can stay in their home, eviction diversion and prevention with free legal services, permanent homeless housing for people that are facing chronic, people that are chronically unhoused. We do all types of things to get people in homes and keep people in their homes, which has been super rewarding. What motivates me is working with amazing women like you. Like I said, I found amazing mentorship in City Council. All the women there keep me motivated, and hearing about women doing work that you all do, it makes me feel better that there are more hands in the pot. It makes you feel less alone in this work. I know somebody mentioned the work getting heavy sometimes, but it's a much easier lift when we're all together. So I always appreciate working with you all. Outside of work, I hang out with my cats, obviously. And I'm a big movie nerd, so I'm usually on this couch or in the theater watching a new movie when I can. But thank you again for honoring us and for inviting us here. I really appreciate it.
Of course, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. And for our last nominee, we have Tia Goldsmith.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for the acknowledgement. Thank you, everyone else, for joining. Congrats to all of you. I am Atia Goldsmith Irby, Goldsmith Enterprises and Goldsmith Wellness Solutions. We are uniquely positioned to bring transformational solutions to real estate, construction, and transportation industries. Our capabilities extend beyond property renovations, property management, and rental compliance. We excel in creating environments where the well-being of individuals takes center stage. With a mission to redefine success, our holistic approach to encompass mental health advocacy, employee wellness initiative, and leadership development programs. Our commitment to positive change makes Goldsmith Enterprises and Goldsmith Wellness Solutions not just a service provider, but a partner in fostering thriving cultures where individuals excel both personally and professionally. So I started that from, those are all the fields that I've worked in directly. And so I also just do just regular employee wellness, right? So for individuals, women in the workplace, some of us are sandwich generations and we're taking care of our parents and our children. So holding workshops and initiatives around those things. I am a disability advocate, one for myself who has delayed hearing. My grandson has Alzheimer's. My father has Alzheimer's and my son has autism, my grandson. And so I am that disability advocate in workplaces, making sure that individuals have accommodations and things that they need, training employees on how to deal with individuals with disabilities. A lot of time we talk about our children with disabilities or young adults, but there are a lot of full-blown adults in there with having non-apparent disabilities such as autism, dyslexia, ADHD. And so sometimes they're reprimanded, but they don't necessarily have the correct tools that they need in the workplace to thrive. You can't treat one person with a disability the same as someone else. So if you think you're doing well, they have this other person may have sensory issues, or they may not have the work environment set up so that they can do the best. Be the best that they can be. So I'm a disability advocate as well. And what I like doing on my time off is I am a zodiac Cancer. So anytime I'm by the water, you can find me. I don't care if it's a bathtub, or lake or whatever. I love being by the water. And that's a little bit about me.
It's something with the Cancers and being by the ocean. It just brings like another sense of peace. I feel that.
We are the water signs, so definitely by the water.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you to all the nominees. I'm going to pass it off to Talia for our final remarks.
Yes. Thank you, Jeriana. Listen, this was a wonderful panel. If people weren't here and they missed tonight, they missed a treat. But you're in luck because we did record it. So we will have that recording to all of our panelists. If you want to send it out to your friends, your clients, or people that you work with that weren't able to join us, they can still hear tonight's discussion. We're going to put it on CPOC's YouTube page as well if people want to watch it there. But I am just really, really thankful that all of you came tonight and shared an hour and some change with us to just talk about the work you're doing to inspire us. I'm leaving inspired. Hopefully everyone that is on that joined us, they got your contact information, which was in the chat. But we are definitely not going to make tonight the only time we keep in touch. We're going to see each other. Everything everybody said tonight aligned with the work that we're all doing. And so I'm sure that we will see each other in the future in different spaces. And if they don't exist, we're going to create them because we are all out here trying to make this world a better place. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you for being here with us. And CPOC will see you in April. Take care, everyone.